Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that means it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. As always, I am joined by my illustrious co-host. It's Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Also joining us this week from a far away frozen land. It's locked in the grip of ice, even in the summer, for winter has come there. It's Kenny. How you doing, sir?
Hey guys, yeah, winter is coming. It's
You'll
33
know.
today.
Oh my God, I was just joking.
I went outside for the first time. I thought, oh, I don't have to have a hat and gloves. I'm like, oh, nope. Not today.
Kenny is, of course, everybody knows Kenny from Combat Phase, amongst many other things. His podcast. I will link his podcast down below so that you can all go subscribe. Because if you're not already, what are you doing? And Kenny, just real quick, I think it's important that we address stuff at the top of the show. I was recently on an episode of your podcast, and we did it the day before the big announcement, right, which ended up being the General's Compendium, and I think it's fantastic because we got to be the most wrong. Well, I was, at least. I won't speak for your opinion, but I got to be the most wrong right up until the last moment because I said I didn't think that there would be an announcement of points. So how about that?
On your show. I heard that because I listened to that episode. I watched your episode, and I put it up, and I was like, that was just bad timing. The episode went up, I think, like maybe 10 hours before the announcement went out.
Something like that, yeah. So that was
So
like
let's
fresh, hot, wrong news. That's what that was.
let's use this to point out, like, let's just squash the rumor now that Vince worked for GW.
Sure. Or was it all a misdirect, Tom? Was that all part of my plan to put that out there on the public record, but
Spreading
not on my
misinformation.
show, so that way I'd throw people off the trail. See? You don't know. It's a shadow game, my friend. All right.
Leaks.
Exactly. At any rate, that's enough of that. Let's get into the news because there is so much stuff. Obviously, Warhammer Fest was this last weekend. As usual, the old world gets all the cool events. So a lot of things were revealed and a lot of cool things happened. So Tom, walk us through the news, and I'm going to screen share some images here from Warhammer Fest just randomly as you kind of move through them.
We're just gonna go. So specialist games, I'll start there. Blood Bowl. The first two teams are finished. They're gonna have 6 teams. Will be humans, orcs, dwarves, elves, Skaven, and Nurgle. The first expansion, which they already have planned out, will have 7 new teams, as well as star players, which I'm guessing is going to be like NPCs or like dramatis personae style, like named characters, and league rules. And they're going to do 3D game pits. So wait for that. There's Adeptus Titanicus coming. It's set during the Horus Heresy, Titans versus Titans. It's going to be an 8mm game. This is also from Specialist Games. Infantry, tanks, and flyers will come later through expansions, as well as Xenos. The Warlord is already finished. Kenny, you're a Horus Heresy fan, right?
I am very much. I'm looking forward to this.
So are you excited for Tiny Titans? For little itty bitty Titans?
I am. I think it was 2 years ago, Robert and I played it when I drove back to Maryland for like Christmas. We played a big game of Man of War, and we played a big game of Epic. And he had like I wanted one Titan, so he had at least one Titan down on his like Chaos Laneshi side, and I brought my squats. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Good old squats.
I'm gonna wait to start screen sharing until you get into the news that I actually have pictures for.
Okay, so Necromunda and Mordheim, they have been confirmed, but they also said there's a lot of stuff to do and they can't release all at once. So we're probably, if I were to guess, a year and a half out from one of those releases. Because they have, 3 games lined up at least?
Yeah, and they said Mordheim was first before doing anything with a Necromunda style game. And the like offhanded comment that a member of the team had made was something along the line of, "Mordheim will come sooner than you think." Okay.
Oh.
That was the direct quote, as hearsay of a voice, but whatever. Like, hey, I want to believe it. I want to belive. So
You
there
know
you
what?
go.
Yeah.
Those I can see those guys kind of like just getting a kicks every once in a while. Like, everybody hangs on every word we say, and they're going to read it our own way. It's like, watch me screw with these guys right here, right? I'll just throw down a random word and see, watch what happens on the internet. It'll just fly out everywhere. I can't, I mean, if I was there, I don't know if I could resist the temptation. Just
Oh, I would totally be doing that.
screw with everybody.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be talking about upcoming Dark Future releases. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit like when Ben Bernanke or whatever, like that secretary talks, and everybody's like trying to read, or Janet Yellen now, I guess. They're trying to like read between the lines of, is there an interest rate hike coming? They're looking at every adjective and like trying to decode it. Yeah, same thing.
Moving on to AOS. So by the way, what I'm interested in on Mordheim is if they're going to go our route for what we did, or if they're going to go a different route. Is it going to be a modular onto like AOS, or is it going to be a completely its own self-sustained thing?
Yeah,
so.
And that's so Scarlock the Wanderer just asked a question. By the way, Q&A is up, folks, so feel free to pop in questions as they come up. We'll try to tackle them when we can. But his question was, will the new Mordheim be an AOS Mordheim? Answer, no clue. My suspicion is yes, in as much as the old Mordheim was 6th edition, right? Like, it was and it wasn't, right? Like, it wasn't a direct...
This could be set during the Age of Legends or whatever, like a different
No,
age.
I think it'll... Like Silver Tower, I think it'll absolutely be an Age of Sigmar. But I mean, like, the rules will be an adjacency, not an exact thing. Much like we did with our system, right? Like, we used Age of Sigmar as a starting point, but then integrated Mordheim in. That's my guess, pure speculation.
Well, that would require them to release new rules for every model.
I mean, maybe. I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, there's lots of ways they could meet in the middle.
That's true. It's true. I mean, that's functionally what we did, but that's beside the point, because we're foolish. Okay, so Age of Sigmar... they admit that GW admitted at Warhammer Fest that they had some errors with the AOS launch, but they want to improve, and they are listening to feedback. They're really motivated. They have story arcs potentially plotted out, they said, for the next 4 to 5 years. They promise that Sylvaneth will get their battle tome. And we got a little picture of Alariel with an adorable dung beetle. No, it's a stag. It's a stag beetle.
Let's take a look at some of these photos that you're talking about, because now we have stuff. We got some very specific rumors on like what exactly is coming for the Sylvaneth, because this release is coming out fast. Like, this is not far away. So here it was on the other Denizens of the Realms. Obviously, this is a big thing up, and a lot of these things we recognize, right? Or you can see.
Let me point out, by the way, I had always been a big fan of Forest Goblins, but I took a gander at the Destruction book. And there is a big storyline coming for Forest Goblins, and I am excited. What you're staring at there is the named Forest Goblin named Spittlegit.
There you go. Spittlegit. I like it.
That's happening.
And obviously the big one is this right here, this Sylvaneth elf image. Super sweet. I love the half elf, half dryad. And sort of like, kind of the woody bits and pieces. I know a lot of people in their dryads, even going back in time, had used the Reaper dryad, right, which is like the woman coming out of the tree. If you can picture. I know, Tom, you know the fig I'm talking about. If our viewers can, I don't have an image of it handy, but it's like half. It's this. It's just this, right? Yeah. So clearly, I've seen that fig get used in 100 different Wood Elf armies. So clearly, people loved it. I think this looks awesome. I really do. And there was some specifics, right, on what we're going to see, like 2 different troop units. What was this?
Yeah. So we had a list. Man, you're making me go to a different point of the news. I
am.
I'll
help you out. It was 2 different troop units, a big unit of cavalry, right? Alariel on the beetle, which, sorry, I'm all out of order here.
Well,
there she is. There she is.
We don't know if she's on a beetle. We think she is. That could be just her in the background with her big green wings. By the way, Vince, there's your green phoenix.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Have you noted what she looks like, both sides of her in this picture? Besides like a rock album cover?
You're saying that because her arm over here is woody and has like a stick look to it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, the pose is very much kind of like butt rock, but...
Yes.
Left side. and this kind of like I don't know. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with the whole like Orion thing. Because if you guys haven't read the Orion trilogy, it was great. I love the way that Wood Elves were in there. So when they got the new battle book, that was like 2-3 years ago. Like, yeah, these guys are badass now. I want to see what happens. And then we got put to AOS. So I'm glad that they're going to do something. So they they get an update. They get to move along because they were getting really fierce. And they tried to put that in the Magic, right? With having the two sides, the dark and the light. And yeah, they were the last army to come out, I guess.
I'm pretty excited, and I think this is going to be sweet. I think we'll get Alariel on the Big Beetle. I think that's the current rumor, and I don't think they put this picture out there without, or whatever this thing is. And I really just can't see them putting this picture out there without this being a model. You know what I mean?
So I have to ask Vince, is this going to be your first real elf force if it drops?
I mean, maybe. Yeah, I have a bunch of trees. I always liked the trees, but I hated the actual wood elves. I have like a wood elf army that I've never bothered to paint and don't like that much. I painted all the trees up and then stopped. So I might just sell off all my actual wood elves and pick up some of these to replace it. So yeah, that could happen. Absolutely. I agree with Kenny. I think this, like, the imagery of this just to me, and the story of them being much more sort of like natural and fierce and dangerous and sort of these predator type creatures, right? Sounds pretty sweet to me.
And armor.
No, I agree.
Dryads.
Yeah. And I've always liked the new Dryads. I thought they looked pretty great, always. So, again, everything that was the trees, like the new Dryads, the new Tree Lords, I thought always looked cool. It's just the elves that were the problem.
Yep.
But half-tree elves I'm in for.
So, with that, this summer we have the Realm of Life. By the way, so Adia posted, and you alluded to this, is the unit division that went up this morning for this these new elves. And we had heard this summer, potentially, I had reported last week that the elves were coming during the summer. I didn't have details. Adia had provided this set of rumors that were somewhat that were from a different source, but it's seeming to confirm a similar thing. And it looks like the end of June, early July is the time frame that we're probably looking at. And it's going to be focused on the Realm of Life, this summer kind of events and stuff like that that's happening. And we'll get to a little bit more of that later on in the news. Also they mentioned that like the Sylvaneth, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, Aelf, and Skaven are coming in the near future, or in the future, in the sooner rather than later future. So
yeah, this is all like a 6-month time frame kind of thing, is how I was hearing the rumors. So a big Tzeentch release, which makes sense. I would imagine we'll see some of the stuff that's in Silver Tower get kind of played out, and probably even some more additions. I'm still waiting on my Shark Surfers. I'm positive they're around the corner any minute now. And the fact that they would do the Slaanesh thing, that was, I thought, the one that surprised me, because like the rumor even said so much as like all the models for Slaanesh are ready to go. The new models for Slaanesh. Say
yeah,
what?
That's
now?
crazy.
I am in like Flynn in that case. I mean, I'm there day one. I think we all know that.
Were you guys stuck on were you buying into the whole Slaanesh is Gone thing that was out like a year ago?
Never.
No.
Not even for a moment. Nope.
No, to me it always read like it was a storyline. Like, this is a storyline that's going to get played out in a campaign stuff, just like the Realm Gate Wars. Yeah, I suspect that that's the next thing that we're going to see. So the pairings of like who against who, it's Tzeentch and Khorne and Nurgle and Slaanesh, right?
You say who went to who's
the
where?
Opposite. Who are the opposites?
Khorne against Slaanesh, Tzeentch against Nurgle.
Okay, Khorne against Slaanesh. Yeah, so I think that yeah, I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, I was just thinking aloud. Sorry about
I'm happy to destroy your theory. That's fine.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
No.
What else? What else we got? There's some other specialist game stuff I know, because
There is. So Forge World is going to be supporting AOS 40K and 30K. New Firmir character is done for those that are excited about the Firmirs.
There you go. There he is. I got a picture of him.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, surprise. They're coming.
I wouldn't have called this guy. This big dragon also. Like, look at this guy.
Khorne dragon, the Khornate dragon. with Lord. So that's happening. Let's see, what else? Chaos Dwarves and Firmir, they want a new spin on them and find a new home for them in AOS. So, and there's more named characters coming for AOS as well. Likewise, Warhammer Quest is supposed to get future support, even if it sells well, and I'll get to that here in a couple minutes. Middle Earth, again, this is all still Warhammer Quest news.
There's so much came out of Warhammer Fest, yeah.
So much. Yeah, Middle Earth, a bunch of releases set around the third Hobbit movie. Dwarves with Dane on Pig is already finished. Vince, we're seeing that now. There will be a release of some older stuff alongside new plastic buildings are done, and you can use them for Mordheim or AOS. How exciting is this? Like, I am so stoked.
There you go. There's your building.
Like, new plastic buildings. So awesome.
Yeah, I heard this was like 2.5 years that they finished these, but still, either way, that's amazing. I was really happy about the stuff.
You know, what's funny is that you're going to keep... So, like, when I look at these images, when I see this house, right, and I apologize, and the big ballista thing here, and, like, the dwarf on War Pig, and these dwarves... For those who like are just absolutely dead set against the Age of Sigmar aesthetic, well, you've got the new Lord of the Rings stuff coming, you know, and if that's well supported, it's maintaining a fairly classic aesthetic in a lot of ways, right?
It's true. Like, it looks like classic fantasy.
Yeah.
If you want classic fantasy, go play Hobbit, like the new Hobbit game.
Or just use those models in your games, right, to represent your dwarves.
It's true.
And allegedly they're going to be, you know, changing around the channels you can get this stuff too, making it easier to ship out this stuff. I sincerely doubt that they took on all these specialist games and you're going to have to order everything in the way you get everything from Forge World now, right?
Yeah, I hope not. No, thank you. Okay, so let's go to some future stuff.
Future stuff.
Okay. So the first I want to announce is Warhammer Quest. The 4-model character pack is coming sooner rather than later. For those that had who've seen the foil cards that went out, there were 4 hero foil cards that went out with that. Vince, do you have the photo of these guys?
I don't actually. I was looking. I'm sorry. I know you asked me to, but I didn't. Sorry.
See, it's not only me who drops the ball. Okay. So it was it's the Knight Venator. It's the one with the bird Knight Swordcast. It's the Slaughter Priest, the big hunchback, ogre-looking horn guy. Yeah, it's the Slaughter Priest with the big weapon, the hunchback, and then it's this Chaos Sorcerer, and it's the Auric Runesmith dwarf Fire Slayer.
He's the Rune Master. He's the one that's the Chaos Dwarf. He's got no mustache.
Yes.
So what that says to me is, and what's the price on that, Tom? I'm sorry.
It was €45. So is it 55 US?
I think those translate into 55 US generally.
Yeah.
So I think that Knight Venator alone was 50 retail.
40, right?
No, he came with the bird. He was more expensive.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Get the bird. Yeah, the bird $10. Yeah, so for like $5 more, you get all 4 of those. What's great about that is I can buy that, get a second Venator, get that sweet cast dude, get the cool sorcerer, take that dwarf, throw him right in the trash where he belongs, and it's still a good deal.
You're not thinking big enough. You just sell the dwarf for $20, and you've cut your cost now in half.
No, it's a problem. I don't want to sell him. That would increase the number of them out in the world. If I just throw him in the trash, I've destroyed him.
You are a terrible person. Yeah, those are fighting words.
I actually want to. He's really good. I want to get a second one, but I can just wait and get him and 3 other models.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, basically it's half retail, and you got to realize that most likely we'll be able to get this 4-pack we'll be able to get this 4-pack for words are hard.
In a store, 20% off.
Yeah, in the store, 20% off. So, I mean, the price you're looking at is just bonkers on these new things. And, like, there's probably going to be more coming. So how awesome is that? Yeah, so that's exciting. Vince still doesn't have our image. Awesome. Okay, moving on. So this
I wasn't
summer, it
trying
looks
to
like there's going to. I could tell. This summer is a campaign is coming, a true Age of Sigmar campaign where you'll post your battle results. That'll be logged at like the GW web stores, web computers, to kind of prevent skewing of results like Eye of Terror did, and it will shape the setting when they write up future campaign books. So that's pretty awesome.
That is totally awesome. You know, one thing I wanted to touch on real quick here. We kind of blew past it earlier, but it's I think relevant, and this goes to it. They mentioned that, and I think even Jervis actually said this in like an interview that somebody did with him, of saying that like they felt that there were issues with the launch of AOS, but that they're trying to to correct that and re-engage with the community and listen to them and give the people more of what they're looking for and really helping the game to ignite. What I'll say is, yes, we all agreed, even those of us who like the game and have been on board since the beginning, that it hasn't been a perfect launch, like far from it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear them say that openly. And I think that you might say, well, but actions speak louder than words. Yeah, you're right, they do, and it's the exact actions we're seeing. It's stuff like this. It's releasing so much info about the General's Compendium, sharing it with the podcasters, letting them go online. It's all this stuff, doing this campaign stuff, all these things, having the Facebook, having the FAQ, like they're doing all of that, right? So I think those actions do tell me that they're re-engaging, that they're taking the right steps. That's what I'll say.
Yep. No, that's good. That's good.
I think it's been like the best time to be a GW fan in like 16 years, 17 years. My own personal opinion.
I got to agree.
As Vince said, this is the golden age.
Yep, exactly. We are entering the golden age of wargaming. Beyond the world of just Games Workshop, just the number of high-quality games out there right now that suit so many different play styles. There's been no time like it since I started wargaming in the 90s. Oh, by the way, Kenny, don't worry. So Veshnikar, one of the viewers, says that dwarf is his favorite from the entire Fireslayer range. He loves it. The one that I was bashing on. So there you go. You're not alone.
GW, in response to our show, making sure that we didn't forget this news item, has just sent an email reminding everybody that the iOS digital assault only lasts another 24 hours. So for you, those of you that want to get those cheap War Scroll battalions and battle plans in Time of War, you can get them now at a better value than ever. So 24 hours, folks, for those that are wanting to take advantage of that deal. So additional stuff, General's Handbook's coming this summer. Vince, do you want to handle some of this? Because I've been talking for half an hour.
You can keep going. It's fine. I'll jump in when I want to.
Okay.
This is more fun than making talk.
So General's Handbook. Units have a model count cap, so there'll be like a unit will be max of 10 models or 20 models or yada yada depending on the unit. You can only add models in groups, so the point value is not going to be per individual model like prior editions, but like other war games that are currently on the market, you'll add in groups like per 5 or per 5 it's X point value.
Right.
For example. Or X to get in, and then for every additional 5 it's Y. We don't know that, but they could do something like that design-wise. Books from here on out their book will contain points for all models, and they'll include in battle tomes going forward point values, which is kind of a big deal. Army organization is a mix of a force org from 40K and point tiers from Fantasy. So for every like X points in a game, you can have up to Y number of heroes, wizards, and monsters. So it'll be keyword specific, which is interesting. I don't know that I like it, but it's at least interesting. What are your guys' initial responses to that? So in a 2,000 point game, maybe you can have 2 keywords of two monsters, 2 heroes, and 2 wizards, for example. 2 of those keywords for force.
If it was the only way to play, I wouldn't like it. Because it's not, I think it's fine. I mean, I started in 6th edition, or I started in 6th. I started in like 4th edition, but I played a lot in 6th edition and previous editions in that kind of area. And in that time, you didn't even get access to Lords until you had a 2,000 point game. And most of the time, we would purposely play like 1999 just so we didn't get Lords, because Lords were that broken and stupid that they were just bad. They made the game worse by having them. So like the idea that these things were heavily restricted based on the points you're at, yeah, that's called how Warhammer was played for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's great. I like the idea. I think you just can't present it as like a 40K, like a slot building thing, because I think it's very different. People build stuff for 40K. You're sitting down to the table with a different idea, basically, and the game is just not the same. So I hear it pushed out on different podcasts or on Twitter and say, "Oh, we're a 40K thing." Like, I think it's kind of misleading if you say you pick your slots like you do in 40K, because it's not quite the same thing.
That's fair. In match play, there's also going to be the rule of ones, and that ones always fail. There'll be limited named characters to one per army, and units you summon cannot summon other units that turn. So it's an interesting round of rules fixes that they just kind of like slip in under a single heading. But I think it's needed for that type of match play.
Yeah, I mean, you can segment it all off, right? Like, it allows them to segregate that stuff, to update rules, but to say, hey, it's in this style of play. And people could obviously pick and choose how they wanted. Like, you could say, well, let's play open, but let's go ahead and use that rule of ones thing, right? As most people, many probably do.
Probably already do, yeah. Weapon upgrades in units are not going to cost additional points. Some missions in the books are styled like Lotro games, where you can recreate a major battle with each player bringing an army determined by the rules, and then such missions will be included in the battle tome. And then narrative will have a lot of cool stuff to add to your games, magic items for heroes, new path of glory for all armies, and new missions to run, etc., etc. So, future models. So in the General's Handbook, they're going to be some of the new Sylvaneth models are going to be shown. So if this is the case, my guess is we'll probably get the General's Handbook in June. Is that a appropriate guess, do you think?
I think so.
June 11th is the date, the rumor date.
There you go.
What is June 10th?
June 11th.
Wow.
Or whatever.
That is much sooner than I anticipated.
I mean, rumor date, for like, I think it went up like 2 weeks ago as the rumor date, so it's moving around.
Yep. And then looking through the rest of the news, we've done that. Slaanesh is not dead. Models are supposed to be finished. Yeah, we got that. Sales numbers. So AOS is roughly, they're saying 30% of sales. This is from an inside source. 40K is still outperforming by a large margin, but AOS numbers are healthy. And that AOS will surely continue to move forward. It's here to stay. There's no plans to go backwards, folks.
There you go. Yeah, there was so much stuff that came out of this from all the things going on, and I'll tell you what, I'm pretty excited about the next 6 months. I haven't been super interested in a lot of the releases for me personally. I've loved them. I thought the Fire Slayers were cool. I don't like dwarves. Like, I like them. I like the release. I thought was neat. Kenny, I know you've got a whole. I've seen your army running around on Twitter, getting in some stuff.
I do like my Fire Slayers.
Yes. Obviously, the Orcs were ridiculous. People went Looney Tunes bonkers for those. I've never liked orcs, and this is all fine. Like, I'm just saying my personal taste. I had no interest in collecting them, but these elves might be something I could pick up. And if the new Slaaneshi and Tzeentch stuff comes, I'm all over that. So. The way I see it, we're just clearing out all the stuff I didn't want to get. That way I had plenty of time to catch up, got everything hobbied out, I'm good to go, and I'll be ready to take a new army. It'll be perfect timing.
It's like the reverse of what I always get. It always comes out, new game, you play 2 armies, they're going to be in a box set together, here you go. The 2 armies I play.
There you go. Nicholas Belair asked, will the General's Handbook address summoning armies in their point system? No clue. Don't know yet. I don't know that we've heard anything about that.
No. Let's hope, though.
I mean, they'll probably have something. I imagine they'll speak to it in some way. If it's supposed to be matched play, they'll probably speak to it in some way. And in open play, they'll just let you keep going like, hey, knock yourself out, go crazy. Woohoo! And that's fine. Like, whatever. Find your happy place in the middle. Was there any other news, Tom, that we did not cover, that we did not mention? So many things.
There's been a bunch of stuff, obviously, for 40K and all that in the most recent from Warhammer Fest and stuff like that. Like Captain Centos is coming in the 100th anniversary. Oh, here's a news bit that I know. Local stores for the 100th anniversary thing, in addition to some of them having the limited edition models, with the purchase of a $100 purchase in store, they're also going to have a print, like a poster-sized print of. I think all of the GW stores are going to have this. I don't know. I know mine is. He's going to have a poster-sized print of the Warhammer Quest art, like the box art that we've seen over and over again, with a bunch of signatures on it. I don't know if they're the design team. I don't know whose signatures they are, but it's gonna get auctioned off at each GW store. Is what was kind of implied to me.
Okay. I heard about an auction too at some stores.
Yes. So it may not be all stores, but there are some stores, and that is coming. And a bunch of other stuff, but that's all we're going to cover, because that's what 45 minutes.
It sounds good. All right. Was there any particular choice piece of 40K news, Kenny, that you heard, since I know you're a 40K player, that you were super excited about out of Warhammer Fest?
I don't think so. Just watching the models come out. I think probably the Forge World stuff.
There was so much Forge World stuff for 40K, it blew my mind. But it's not surprising. That is just printing money for them. Like, not a bad way. They're making a bunch of great stuff. I'm nothing against it. It's just like, I've seen the lines at the Forge World booth at every con I go to, and it's never ending. So
yeah, no paying for shipping thing, or getting something they don't have there and they give it to you free shipping. It's a huge deal.
Yep. All right. Okay. So let's move on to our picks of the week. Kenny, you're the guest. You get to go first.
So I was understand this is about a hobby, or like a blog, podcast?
Sure, anything, whatever you like. This is your video, blog, podcast, something. You might even shamelessly self-promote Combat Phase Podcast, just saying, go check it out. But you can shamelessly self-promote or talk about anything you like. Go ahead.
Well, I will not shamelessly promote Combat Phase Podcast too much.
Sure.
Because I wouldn't want you to go to Combat Phase Podcast, which comes out weekly, by the way.
Because the Combat Phase Podcast is pretty excellent. If you're interested in a good podcast such as Combat Phase, I would check it out. Combat Phase. Okay, no, please continue. I'm sorry.
Well, so I looked at the directions, and I think I did this right. So I picked out an AOS-centric podcast. So they had, I just listened, I think yesterday, 2 days ago, to New Heel and Hammer that came out on the 15th. And it had an interview with David Geimer. So it was their first time bringing on a Warhammer or a Black Library author, which I thought was kind of nice. He's been on the show a few times already, but it was just kind of neat to see him on a different show, and I enjoyed the questions they asked him, because there's some questions that we talked about but didn't ask, and I was watching them go to town about trying to get whatever you can from inside the Black Library walls, which everybody does. There's nothing problem with that. I said it was really funny. It's like, all right, go. Let's say something here. Yeah, it was really nice.
Awesome. I will link that most recent episode down there out to Dan's website. 100%. I like it. That was a good ep. I agree completely. As always, they do good interviews. And if you're interested in more interviews with other authors, I've heard that there's this Combat Phase podcast where you guys just recently, your most recent episode, you talked to an author as well. So just saying.
Yeah, and another one coming out on Sunday.
There you go. Tom, what's your pick of the week, buddy?
The Grand Alliance community. We mentioned it last week. I'm gonna put it out there again. It's a new kind of community website up, and I want to highly encourage people to check it out. It's tga.community, and it's all things Age of Sigmar.
Nice. Mine is very simple. I'm sure many people have already checked this out, but I will. But I would like to share it. So obviously the Golden Demon contest. That's everybody knows that, and everybody knows I am a model whore, and so I love it, and I love seeing all these pictures of this beautiful these beautiful models. And so I kind of scanned past it a couple times, but I'll share it up here. This was the winner of the Slayer Sword at Warhammer Fest, which is Mr. Gutrot Spew. And this was just an absolute stunning piece of work. I love everything about this. Every little bit of color, it's all geniusly, just magnificently placed. The composition of this is just beyond unbelievably good. So I will link out the Golden Demon page where you can go and look at all of the
What
various
do you think that
people.
trident's from?
I literally have no idea. Could be scratch built. I don't know. I really have no idea. I saw on Twitter. I think they had the model pictures of the model pre-assembly, but I think it was plasticard. I think that's scratch built, if memory serves. I think. I didn't save the picture of the because he took a picture of it like once it was all assembled but unpainted, right?
Yep.
And obviously there's just a ton of conversions going on here, but I think that was scratch built. If somebody out there in our viewership can correct me if I'm wrong, please do correct me. But I'll link the Golden Demon site because it's great to look at all the pictures, and it's very inspiring to as to what people can accomplish out there, and to try to push yourself to maybe try some new techniques or some things like that they have done. See what you can do. All right. Great. So speaking of working on amazing models, well, let's do some hobby time. Kenny, what are you working on, buddy?
Right now, I'm doing some painting on my death card, and I was trying to get the 30K death card for Horus Heresy. So unfortunately, I'm up to 12 paints I have with me in Sweden that I picked up here or somebody gave me. But I look at the screen right now and I see all your paint set up and your hobby area, and it just kills me because I don't have an airbrush, don't have anything, and I'm just trying to get some color down for pictures when I put them on the table, just so there's some kind of color coming on, but
right,
just not having access to that is just killing me. So I've got some paint on it, but when I get home I got to fix it all.
Gotcha. Yeah, 12 paints. 12.
Like maybe half a rack on one of your rows.
There's a whole other rack on this wall you can't see. I just want there's a massive thing on this wall that's out of frame. Yeah. It's all paint.
Most of Vince's paint will likely dry before he uses it.
That's not true because I use dropper bottles, buddy. So there you go.
You know how I picture your paints, by the way? I picture what was that movie? Minority Report, where he's screwing around with this is more common now, but he's trying to move the computer and he's doing things this way, and I kind of picture you just having paints fly, levitate into your hands.
Absolutely. If I could get that to happen, just this kind of little, if I could get the Iron Man thing going on, there we go. I dig it. Tom, I can see what you're working on, Tom, but I have a picture for your hobby time as well.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, he's right behind you. Yeah.
I am dipping my toe into Nurgle stuff, and I'm starting kind of my Nurgle forces that I've been talking about for a while. You can see I've started on the Glotkin over here, but I got partially through right there. I got partially through working on his stuff, and I realized that I needed to look at some of the coloration stuff on the rest of my forces. And so here was the test model that I've been working on for my Plague Bearers. I still need to do obviously the weapon, the sword, the horns, and the teeth. That I think I'm going to do black. But so post in the comments. I want to hear from you guys what your thoughts are. Is this not Nurgly enough? Is this too Slanesh looking? Or what do you guys think? So I'm looking for kind of feedback, obviously, because I'm just not sure what I want my color scheme to be. And I've heard that you can never use enough Scorpion Green.
Yes, special shout out to Jeff Egan, friend of the show, my fellow PMP end of month reviewer, because he heard it much like when Obi-Wan sensed Alderaan destroyed. When you started ranting and raving today about how good Scorpion Green was, I could tell that he looked up and he sensed that someone had discovered the magic of Scorpion Green. So there you go. All right. Yeah, I think it looks great. By the way, that's my personal answer, Tom, is I like the more muted gray tone. It doesn't really look Slaaneshi at all. I think it just looks like sort of deadish flesh. So
Mission
rotty dead
accomplished.
flesh. Yeah.
I
I
didn't
finished.
want just the normal green. They're
Sure.
boring. It's boring.
No,
Anyway,
that's you gotta
continue.
go. You gotta go your own way, like that
Stevie.
band said. Stevie Nicks said. Yes, there you go. I was trying to crap. Looks like a goat. All right, I don't know. Okay.
Who's next?
Yes. So I have got many things. I've been starting on stuff in anticipation of picking up the Silver Tower this weekend. Which, by the way, I'm sad that there was no random early box showing up at my doorstep. What's up, GW? Where's my early Silver Tower box? That can show up anytime. Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Anyways, but no, I'm excited to pick that up.
Hey,
And
we'll review products too.
so I don't want to get into anything too big. So I finished up my Johnny Ringo for competition the other day with a shot of Wild West Exodus, and now I'm working on another Kingdom Death mini, which I'm sure just looks like gray at this distance. Trust me, there are lots of different tones in there. That is like many hours of flesh blending. Looks gray. It's pretty funny.
Looks pretty great.
Just looks gray, but it's not. There's lots of colors.
Oh, there she is. Yeah.
Yes, it's funny. Anyway, and then over here on the side, you will notice, here you go, this will show up, this little multi-hued horse, little Bretonian pony. He is base-coated in these little colors of green and purple, and he is for a hobby cheating video that I'm going to put out this weekend that is going to be, I've thought about blending a lot, and people ask me about blending a lot. So I'm going to do one video with one model, and I'm going to do like the three major big types of blending beyond layering. So like loaded brush and glazing and sort of feathering or two brush blending. So it's all going to be using this guy, and I'll time code it so you can just jump to the technique you want to use, and I'll talk about how those get used and stuff like that. So that'll be coming this weekend. So there you go. By the way, Mickey says she likes the interpretation on your Plague Bearer. It's not the normal color choice, but it works. And I feel that if anybody has an authority to speak on Nurgle, it's Mickey Genver. My God, her Nurgle models are pretty second to none. So, and if any of you don't know what I'm talking about, Mickey's a great painter. She's in the PMP and posts her stuff otherwhere on Google+, and it's pretty fantastic, and we all wait with anxious anticipation the completion of your Glocken, Mickey. So there you go.
Mm.
All right, so let's turn to some feature stuff, and for this, I am going to screen share. We're going to deep dive on the War Scrolls coming out of Silver Tower. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about them in Age of Sigmar. Do we like them? What's good? What's bad? What's unique? We're going to do our best here because I don't have the most fantastic images from everything because obviously we've only got spoiled, but that's okay. That's what we do to be first or second or fifth. Who cares? It doesn't matter. That's what we're working with today. As usual, A game at a C level. So let's deep dive on the stuff coming out in Silver Tower because really this represents a new release, right? With a lot of new models coming into the game. And,
Like
and we
a
thought,
lot of new models.
a lot of new models for sort of different forces. So I thought we'd just kind of hit them all, say are they good or they're bad. We'll all give our vote. We'll thumbs up, thumbs down, and talk about what we think's cool. Are you ready, gentlemen? Are you mentally prepared for this excitement?
Good, bad, more wine, I think.
Exactly. Or you can give like the eh. If it's just eh, then that's fine. That's okay too. Sometimes meh is the appropriate response. That's just how it is.
Well, this is
All
different
right.
because I can't. I got a camera on me now, so I can't play stuff off.
There you
Now
go.
you don't.
Now you don't. Well, you'll still be in a tiny box in the corner. I'm the only one who they can't see, so I could be just stripping naked over here, but they
Okay,
can still see a little
zoom
picture of
in.
you.
Zoom in, naked Carrick Acolyte.
Yes. All right. So we start with the Carrick Acolytes because why not? These are in no particular order other than how I happen to save the pictures. So there you go. So Kenny, you're the guest. So guess what that means, buddy? You get to go first. What do you think of these guys? Model, rules, what grabs you, what doesn't grab you? Go ahead.
I think the first thing I noticed about these models is that they're going to get bought a lot of times for 40K and 30K for the Thousand Suns. I think they're also. I didn't actually see until this the entire unit together, and the rules I think are fine, but the models are just fantastic. I guess it's one unit. They had two models of the White Dwarf from that unit. Like the guy in the center is like the hero, I think, or the champion, whatever it's called. And then there's another one I think in the White Dwarf. But yeah, that's a great unit, and I definitely see people picking that up for 40K and 30K too. Absolutely.
I agree. These guys are very Thousand Suns. I don't like. I normally kind of like, not that they look futuristic or 40K, but they have that aesthetic of like that weird, somewhat Egyptian, somewhat Phoenician kind of like aesthetic to them. Yeah, that the Thousand Suns have. I agree. We'll kind of go back and forth. We'll give our ratings at the very end. Tom, what are your thoughts on the Carrick Acolytes?
So it's interesting because I don't know what these guys are doing for Tzeentch. Okay, when you look at the actual War Scroll, okay, they're mortal. I see the Sorcerer's Bolt, and I'm like, oh, they're like wizards. You know, they're like pink horrors that are like, you know, that are throwing bolts of energy, but it's only 12 inches, and they do it terribly. Out of like a 5-up, 4-up, 1-up, and they don't really melee real well. And I mean, it's a unit with mixed weapons. I don't know. I wasn't real impressed as a unit. That's what I would say. I don't understand in Age of Sigmar. I don't understand how these would function as opposed to other things.
Yeah. So here's my thoughts on them. One, I think these models are incredible. That's where I'll start. Yeah. I think we all are in agreement, model-wise. You know, A+. But there's a couple little things I noticed here. You're right, it's a mixed unit, right? So you can mix up the units and just go totally WYSIWYG. You don't have to have them all armed in one way, right?
Right.
Two, it's interesting that the guy with the worst weapon option, okay, is actually the leader.
Yes.
That, which I thought was funny, that they reversed that around. Normally the leader's the guy who gets like the sweet weapon. In this case, he has to carry a single cursed blade and nothing else, right? Yeah, indeed. It's 8 or more models, which we're going to see a lot because obviously that's the number you get in the Silver Tower. So when they made this War Scroll, it's like you get all sorts of weird numbers, like 8 and 6 and stuff like that. The other thing that I noticed that was real big to me was, and you were going to see this again on the other unit with the Zangor with the Arcanite Shield. So did you really read the wording on the Arcanite Shield, Tom?
It just looked like a word save.
It's not, though. They clarified that this is post-FAQ wording, okay? So if you go back and
look... Oh, yeah.
Yep. So
this is before allocating.
Correct. Previously, these extra saves, people were kind of taking them when the wound was dealt, not the damage, not during the allocation of the wounds. So, like, I made my armor save, I made this secondary save I have, right? But that's not correct. The FAQ said, look, you make your armor save. If you fail that, you roll the damage die. Like, if you get hit by a thing that does d6 damage, and you have a shield that stops those wounds, right, as like a secondary save from a special ability, and the d6 comes up 4, you're making 4 saves. Not one that stops the d6 from ever being rolled. Yeah, you roll the damage, and it's when allocating the wounds that you get to try to stop them, right? But that wasn't clarified. It wasn't written like that with that in that clear text. In this, they cleaned it up post-FAQ and said roll a dice before allocating a wound or a mortal wound to a model that has an Arcanite Shield, clarifying the moment in time at which that happens. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll...
For the one model that... no, 2 models out of your 8 that actually can stop those wounds.
Sure. Well, you could slap some shields on other guys. That's
That's true.
Like, you could have a whole unit, or like just go championless, and if you wanted to, you could have the whole unit armed with
that's true.
Shields and blades, so whatever.
Now, which for me raises the question, like, do you think that we're going to see these guys in a Tzeentch release?
I don't know. I honestly am not sure. I wouldn't bet on that. I would say probably not on these guys.
I would.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I think this will be a box of itself here. I don't know how long it'll take, but within the next few months, I'd say definitely this box.
All right, I hope you're right because I think they should get released as their own box. That being said, I thought that about the Flesh Hounds too, but that has never come to pass. So who knows?
Never.
Yeah, much to my own chagrin. Uh, I think their Sorceress Bolts are interesting. I mean, you're right, it's not the greatest ranged attack, but hey, there it is. What are these guys doing in Tzeentch? Being a fun mortal troop that's stapled with the Tzeentch keyword, right? But you're right, they're more like they're nothing about them stands out incredibly, but I do like they got a range attack, and I like that it can go to a 4-up, 4-up. It's just something extra, Having range attacks is never bad in Age of Sigmar, so there you go.
That's true.
All right, moving on. The Blue Horrors. They're back with their own little real thing. The Blue Horrors. Obviously, longtime players will remember back in the days when Pink Horrors split into Blue Horrors, right? And that kind of thing.
And they do again.
And they do again. So, Kenny, what's your thought on the Blue Horrors?
Oh, so first thing, are we going to do these 3 scrolls together? Like, are you going to do pink, blue, and then Hellfire? Or are you going to do these individually?
If they happen to be in that order, sure, but I don't think they are. We can let's take blues on their own, and when we come to the last one, we'll wrap them all up.
I love it. Actually, until you said that, I forgot that Blue Horrors weren't really around for a while.
Yeah.
There's that special character, the 2 on the disc where they're like rocking out.
Yes.
Yep.
Reading the book.
The scribes.
Yeah, the Blue Scribes. Yeah, I was just happy to see Blue Horrors. I put them down actually as probably one of my weakest. I don't think at the end I don't think any of the very few things from Warhammer Quest I think are really crazy good in AOS so far. But these guys are probably on the lowest end, being like the weakest. But the models are great.
I agree. Tom, your thoughts?
I kind of went a different direction with these guys.
Okay.
I actually like them, and the reason why I like them has nothing to do with them. They just made Pink Horrors more valuable.
You just answered the question I was going to ask. By printing this and this now existing, right? Does that mean that every time I field Pink Horrors from now on in a game of Age of Sigmar, as long as I bring my Blue Horrors with me, I get to activate this rule?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and so, suddenly now you have a 10 Pink Horrors, okay, that are all wizards with the wizard keyword as a unit, throwing little flame bolts or whatever. And then you just start popping out these, then you get to drop another 20 Blue Horrors, because why not? And another 40 brimstone whatevers. Yeah, think about that.
Are you thinking about it? Are you doing it? No.
So anyways,
it's pretty true.
Yeah, it's valuable just because of what it's going to do. What it does to Pink Horrors.
Right. They don't need to be that good because they just are more free troops that are happening from Pink Horrors, which weren't that good to begin with. But if I can go 3 models deep on the destruction of that unit, well, they got a little better. Yeah, I agree. It just makes
definitely
it
becomes a lot more tar pity. Those become tar pity units.
Yes, absolutely.
That said, if you're playing the standard rules, it's going to be a problem because you're adding models that are just going to get slaughtered. So you're going to lose the game on splitting Pink Horrors.
You lose the game outright by the standard rules because you're saying model count to model count is when 100% of your army's killed.
Yeah, you're going to lose 100% of your army.
Yeah.
Just killing one unit because it's going to go one unit of 10 is going to generate 70 troops. Right?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. It's correct. You would lose 10 Pink Horrors plus 20 Blue Horrors plus 40 Brimstone Horrors, meaning you'd have 70 models dead counted against your death total.
For every 10 Pink Horrors you bring to the table.
Yeah.
That seems like a problem.
Fluff players.
Yes. That's pretty hilarious. I agree. I give these guys a fun, but I think just as often, depending on how I was playing, I would say if I was bringing Pink Horrors, I'd be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to put down the Blue Horrors. I'm okay.
No, I mean, but what it does is it adds this tactical element because you can choose to deploy that rule whenever you want. And so, if you need to tar pit the enemy, you can do that. like because you like if you need in that moment to tarp it.
Sure.
You can summon the blue horse to lock in that unit even longer. So it's utility, free utility. So this is like all upside. Yes, it's a terrible war scroll, but I don't care about that.
Right. Because it's just extra bodies.
Yep.
Right. All right. Moving on. Oh, there you go. The Brimstone Horrors are next. Hey, how about that? All right. So the Brimstone Horrors. By the way, should we explain the split? We explained the splitting mechanic. One pink becomes 2 blues. Each blue becomes 2 Brimstones. Right. So there we go. Hence the math we just did. Okay.
Give me a box of 40 of these guys.
So Kenny, what do you think of the Brimstone Horrors?
I'm still kind of shocked. It's so different. Like seeing there be a third horror just kind of blew my mind. So I actually looked at the list here, and I don't know. I guess it's more kind of fluff. I think that if you can find a way for them to have something like in hordes, War Machine hordes, there's like the troll whelps. They have a rule called annoying within like 1 inch, and they get -1 to hit because they're like, hey, over here. Boom, boom, boom. I kind of see these guys having some kind of role for that. Like if they were to get their next incarnation, maybe they had some way to be more annoying and have it kind of be part of the rules, rather than like I'm annoying by attacking you, or, splitting out again. Yeah, they're okay, but I don't know. It was really, when I first came out, like, oh wow, a third one, but now it's kind of wearing off a little bit. The thrill is gone.
Yes, indeed. One thing I'll say, Tom, is that that math was wrong. I'm just rereading it and remembering that. Because you get 1 Brimstone Horror for every 1 Blue Scribe, because each Brimstone Horror model consists of 2 little guys on the base. But this is the profile for the 2 guys. So it wouldn't be 70, it would be 50.
Yeah, but you want to keep these when you get to your Ogroid.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think these guys, it's funny to me that you get the sort of the rules for the 2 being on the base. I think they look cool. They're nice little angry, flamey demons.
I think this was a painting faux pas. I think this should have been like a greenish blue change flame. I don't think that it should have been the yellow orange.
Huh? I don't know.
That's my opinion. Just in more Zine, because this just looks like little fire elementals.
Yeah, but then they couldn't have been Brimstone.
Yeah. Then change the name.
Ah, okay, fair enough. I accept.
Like Warp Flame Horrors.
All in all, with looking at all 3 of these, to me, I rate the whole horror combination, returning to the classic horror thing. I'm gonna rate it with a meh, because I think there's as much bad as there is good. It's a lot of little weedy units, and although it has utility, I used to hate these things back in the day when you did replace them and it would get annoying, but I mainly hated them because they were really annoying in rank and file. But even now, as a hater of little weedy units, I'm not excited about this still.
Give me the horrors. That's what I want.
Kenny, what's your final vote overall on the horror rotation? Has the shine come off for you? Is that your final vote kind of a meh?
Yeah, it's nice to have extra models, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll see it too often. I think I'll treasure it when I do see it, but that's probably gonna be.
You guys are out of your damn minds. There's just so much awesome going on here.
Well, glad to hear it. I look forward to watching you bring out the horror, the boiling frothy water in every single game that we play, Tom, as I'm sure will inevitably happen. All right. So now we get into one of the heroes, Mr. Knight Questor, one of the good guys. Kenny, most of these heroes will probably be pretty quick because they're not that different from the existing heroes. As we mentioned last time, I love that the model has the sword in the left hand. Good stuff. What other things do you think about this guy when you're looking at him?
Like I said, I think him being the Sigmarine, he'd be the one that would be the strongest. So I think he's got a nice skill, but I don't know how he would do. I guess in an army, like he kind of seems like he would be the guy in the AOS game that would kind of run off or perform like a single heroic task. But I think he would get kind of lost in just an army. Like the other guys, I think have extra wounds or movement or something over than their races. But I think he might not be so special in an all Stormcast Eternal army. Does that make sense? Like I feel like he needs to have kind of his moment, and so maybe have him go over here and guard this, or go to have some challenge. But I think him just as some guy you take in your army, I don't really know that he have his chance to shine too much.
Yeah, I think his best use is as a little tiny tank. Like, he is quite tough as a hero at 3-up with that Sigmarite shield that lets him reroll all failed save rolls. You know, so like it's not hard for this guy to be a 2-up rerollable dude, which is it's pretty tough. It's hard to move
in an
2-up
escalation
rerollable.
game. Like in an escalation game, like this is a nice little hero general.
Right.
Like in a small scale. Like, he's doing everything that you want him to do from a survivability standpoint. Like if you don't have a big command ability.
Agreed. I think you both nailed his best use right there. So overall, I'll give him a thumbs up in certain situations, but I agree. Amidst the field of Stormcast heroes, he's going up, there's just so many other really potent guys out there. I'm not sure that he carves out a place in, if you have a full Stormcast force, right?
That said, like I don't know if somebody fielded him, if I'd be able to pick him out of the rest of the Stormcast, outside of maybe looking for his left-handed weapon. Honestly, it's just not that. Like in a field of Stormcast, it's not going to be that visually significantly. So
he's got a sweet cloak. You got that. Look for the sweet cloak. All right. Kenny, I'm gonna let you take this one completely because I have no opinion on these guys. So the Doom Seeker. What'd you think of this dude?
He's better, but he's still some of the problems I have with the Fire Slayer's models. Like we were talking about this, I think last week. There's only so much you can do with short legs, like short stubby legs, and a lot of beard and a lot of weapons. But we like him. Of course, we're going to have him for the Fire Slayer's army. But he has. Can you bring his scroll back up on the screen? Or I'm looking at Tom right now.
Oh, that's weird. It should be locked on me.
That's okay. He's got a 5 movement, which is like the big thing that got me, because like dwarves went up from 3 to 4 in AOS, and this guy's got 5, so he's gonna have a place to be.
He's a runner.
Running out, yeah, messenger.
Yeah, he's really trucking.
Yeah, for 5, that's pretty good. So yeah, that's the main thing I get out of him. I think his abilities and everything are fine. He's not really too crazy, not quite like a Grimwrath Berserker, but 5 movement is just awesome.
I thought it was interesting how easy this guy goes to a 2-up to hit. Right? Like if he suffers any wounds, he gets to be a 2-up to hit now. Like that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I mean I will still roll 1s, but other people I think will be
For most people, that's a pretty good rule, right? Yes.
I can't do statistics. I mean, they don't apply.
So is this guy? You have a big Fire Slayer force. Is this guy going to find a home in your Fire Slayer force sometimes on the table? I think that's the question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he's probably one of the weaker sculpts in the heroes in general, from a Hero Quest, or Warhammer Quest.
Yeah.
But I love the movement thing. Yeah, he'll be in my army.
Excellent. Yeah, to me, it's the only part of him I really didn't like was his weird little war pick thing. I don't like the backwards hook.
I don't know how it's working.
Yeah, I don't know how he
there.
stabs somebody with that. I guess like that. Not the top part. I get how you put the pointy end into a person. It's that backwards hook. I guess maybe that's a blade trap, is what that's supposed to be. I don't know. Yeah. All right, moving on. Excelsior, Mr. Warpriest with his baby Gryph-hound. So once again, Kenny, you get the honors. You want to kick us off with this dude?
I love it. I think I actually want to get a bunch of the hounds if I can get them like independently, just to have kind of this loyal thing. It'd be kind of fun. But the thing that struck me, his rules are great. Like he's fantastic. But I was so happy to see a black paint, I guess, a black eye painting. I don't know how to say this. And you could paint it however you want, but the fact that they chose to go with a darker skin tone, like on one of their hero models, I thought was just great. Because I've only seen it like once in a Terminator in 40K, and then a long, long time ago with Imperial Guard. So I think that's great, and it's actually I would like to do that for Age of Sigmar. Maybe get like a small army of humans and do kind of this. You're located somewhere where people have darker skin. But yeah, between the look of the model, his abilities, and the hound, the little puppy dog thing is just fantastic. I love his little pose. I mean, he's like that straight up dog. he's doing that kind of cartoon dog attention where they get all rigid and they point that way, point the paw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, great, just great stuff with him, yeah.
I love everything about this guy. I agree. I love the dog. I love the, he's not incredibly like potent in melee or tough or anything, but the fact that he can heal friendly order units, just order, right?
Yes, that's the big takeaway here. Go read the rest of the Warrior Priest stuff. This is what I was bitching about on the War Scrolls. They couldn't buff outside their faction. Guess what? This dude can.
He's also got that Devoted of Sigmar keyword, so he's another model, like, another War Scroll showing up in that sort of atrophied faction. So I'm happy to see that. Yeah, I love this dude. He's great. In honesty, out of all the hero, like the good guy heroes, he's my A+. I love the new sculpt. I love the look. I love the way they painted him. I love his rules. Yeah, like. And again, he's trucking too. He's got a little 6-inch move, a little faster than the average human. Tough, yeah, just decent all around. He's a well-rounded, fun hero.
Yeah, I think he's probably the best.
And just the utility of him. The fact, again, just healing anybody. A+. Way to go, G-Dubs. You nailed it with this one. There's the actual rules for the little birdie. We don't need to focus on him, the little bird dog.
His rules are identical, by the way. I'm pretty sure to the normal Gryph-hounds.
I believe
so.
But
he's coming on a smaller base. This is a smaller sculpt.
Yeah, he's a smaller one. I think he's on the 32 mil as opposed to the other Gryph-hound who's on a 40.
So I just thought that was really curious, like really interesting, obviously for like tournament play and all that other stuff. Like, which one are you fielding? The one with the smaller base?
The one you got.
Yeah, the one you've got exactly. Which, yeah.
I don't think there's
by far cheaper to collect right now than the other Gryph-hounds that require the purchase of a $40 hero.
Right. I don't think there's a huge rules advantage for having your one or even your first of all, units of Gryph-hounds are not that impressive. Let me start there.
Hey! Don't talk bad about our Gryph-hounds.
I'm not. Hey, I love them. I'm just saying, like, if people put down a unit of Gryph-hounds in a matched play tournament that has some kind of like actual construction thing, I'm not going to be like, oh, you cheater! You're putting down that unit of subpar models on 32s. Like, it's fine. They'll die all the same. The 3-wound hashtag save up or hash mark save up model is not. It's fine. It's okay. Go ahead, knock yourself out. With their sweet 3-up, 4-up, no rend, 1 damage attacks. Look out for this guy. Okay. And our big dark the chieftain. I can't pronounce words. All right.
Darkoath?
Darkoath.
The barbarian.
There you go, the barbarian. Yes. What did you think of this guy? What's your opinion on him there, Kenny? We'll start with you.
I was hoping that they'd have a barbarian, and they did, so I was very happy about that. I think his model's great. He looks better here as a model than he does in the artwork, just in my opinion. Like the artwork, I think it's still good, but they had him do this kind of heroic pose, and I think that this is even though he's not really doing anything, he's not fighting, I think this was kind of a better interpretation. So I like him. I like the rules. I have to look him up again here. I think he doesn't stand out so much as like, I have to have this guy. He's not at the top. I think he's just more of kind of the role of having a barbarian. But he's got a pretty nice berserker charge. Like he can get going on here pretty early. I gotta wonder how this guy plays in the actual game Warhammer Quest, because you can see them trying to translate some of these rules, and I can see him being thrown out early on and probably get killed.
Yeah, he feels like the glass cannon to me, right? Like the dude who runs forward and just is swinging around like a lunatic. Absolutely, as you would expect from a barbarian. I think he's playing the DPS role in the party. Absolutely.
He just steps aside, like, okay, go ahead.
Let the crazy guy go first. Yeah, I think his rules are good. I love the sculpt. It's funny that there was like a little bit of controversy, I guess, that somebody was trying to start up because I think one of the top placers in the open competition, which the open competition at the Golden Demon at Warhammer Fest, the painting competition, is the only one that the staff is allowed to enter. Like the heavy metal staff is allowed to enter. They're not allowed to enter any of the other stuff, and they can't win the overall prizes. Like you can't win a Slayer sword and any of that kind of stuff. Okay, you can only win in the open category.
Yeah.
and somebody, one of the house, I guess one of the employees or whatever, who had this, entered it and did a really nice scene. It was quite well done. But they won, and somebody was trying to start stuff on Twitter or whatever because they were upset that somebody had access to this model before other people did, and they felt that made it unfair. Hey, I've got an idea. Shut up.
Other podcasters that are not us.
Like, it's not a big deal. Let me tell you why. Because there are 1,000 good models you could enter into the open competition, right? It's not like this one won because this model is that much better. There's a ton of amazing models. So, whatever. That's what I'll say. I'm positive that's judged far more on paint or anything than model. As somebody pointed out, people have won the open competition with pretty rote models before. So yeah, rules-wise, I like this guy. Sculpt-wise, I love this guy. I want to do him for, like, this guy's... I'm always thinking about, like, who are my picks for painting competition pieces. This guy's on my list. Absolutely. I don't know if you could sexy up his pose a little bit, but I'm all right with him. I think he's pretty great.
It disappoints me that he's not in an action pose. That said, I do like his pose. Like, he's very arrogant. Like, his arrogance just drips off of that model.
That's true. And plus, if he was in an action pose, what would happen? He'd be in the Captain Morgan, right? Which is every action pose. They're all doing the one-legged jump, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what we would get. We would get the Captain Morgan jump, like the Bloodthirster and stuff. So I'm okay with this dude just pimping. It's fine. Okay, Gaunt Summoner. This is probably way too much for any of our viewers to read because it's such tiny text. But yeah, let's sum this up. Let me see if I can sum it up. He's got a fun spell.
What? What? Fun?
Fun, yeah.
No, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's what I meant by fun. Well, we'll start with Tom. I want you to start this time because you've got opinions about the Gaunt Summoner. So go ahead.
I do. This dude is flat ballin'. Okay. Because he has everything going for him basically that the other Gaunt Summoner did, other than the fact that he can't fly. So he does have less mobility. But like, let's start with his spell. Like, this dude throws around 2 spells. And his named like specific spell is you roll 1 dice for every model in a unit. Anything 4 up kills that model or does a wound to that model. Oh, mortal wound. And so, like, for large infantry blocks, like one wound infantry blocks, this will statistically cut those units in half every time it gets cast.
Yep.
Like, that's not insignificant.
It's pretty good.
That's really good. And then on top of that, he's basically a 5-wound wizard that gets 4 additional free wounds, because he has a bunch of familiars that are either buffing him or the players can divert their wounds to. And in some matched plays, this guy arguably brings 5 models to the table for scenario claiming play, because there are 5 models there. So when he may count as 5 models for claiming objectives.
Sure.
That's a good point.
And let's face it, his extra familiars, there's only one that matters, and that's Blot, or whatever his name is, because he's the one that adds 1 to the casting rolls for the Gaunt Summoner. The ones that, like, adds 1 to hit with his weapons, like, Tweak is dead right away. Slap or Slop or whatever his name is, he's out of here. Pug is gone, but Blot is the last to die. Absolutely.
This model's great. This model is insane. Like, it's so good.
Yep.
I think he fits the complete definition of a glass cannon. That's the only thing. He has not much in the way of...
The 9-wound single hero?
Yeah, he has these 9 wounds because he got the little shield of those dudes. That being said, he's got a 6-up, and he's a single dude walking around. Like,
most hero wizards on foot are at 5-up. Like
Sure.
he's not a lot worse than most of the other ones.
No, you hold him back. Like he's not. I don't see him as like in the game. Like isn't he like the big boss at the end? So you have to work all this way to get to him.
Yep.
Kind of see the same thing on the tabletop, I guess.
Yeah. I agree. In the
and he has
back.
an instant kill dagger. Oh yeah,
But-
I forgot about that.
Sure, it doesn't trigger very often, but yes, and with his one attack with it, woo. And the other thing I'll point out here, Tom, is that spell, like if you hold him at the back, okay,
Yeah.
that spell only, even if the unit's within 18 inches, you only hit the unit and the models that are within 18 inches, right?
Yep.
So if there's like one guy in the unit that's within 18 inches, you don't get the whole unit for free. You literally get that guy.
That guy. No, I understand that. I do.
Right.
And so you're gonna have to be like strategic with how you deploy him and how you move him around.
Yeah,
That
because
said,
that's not a lot of space for a lot of units to cover in a turn, right? Like if he gets up to a point where he's hitting a whole unit with his spell, he's probably getting charged the next round.
maybe, unless he is surrounded by blue horrors that become, or by pink horrors that become blue horrors that then become brimstone horrors. Which they will be cutting through that block for a while. So that said, like this guy is pound for pound better than almost any other like on foot 5-wound wizard, like non-named character.
Sure. The two spells, his spell is awesome, and the wound shield of the little familiars. He is very strong.
Yep.
In that regard, I'm giving this guy the definite good. He's getting a thumbs up.
Mechanically, I think he's one of the best. I think he probably is the best, like stat-wise, model in the box. This is the best war scroll out of all, like, in my opinion.
He'll definitely see play. That's what I'll say. Kenny, agreed thoughts on that? You think he'll definitely see some play?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Moving on. We're almost through these guys. Grot Scutlands. Let me take a quick moment here to talk about what I like about the way they arrange the weapons in this, which I would love to see more of. They have all these units have like 3 sort of weapon options, and it tends to be like 1 weapon, 2 of those same weapons, and then some bigger weapon or something like that, right? Kind of tends to be the breakdown, and it's very straightforward, and I like that sort of that division. Yeah. Tom, I think you should take this one too, because these are spider goblins, and you are a well-known goblin spider aficionado.
These guys are terrible in AOS. Like the war scroll is just nothing to write home about. It's neat that they have a baked-in net, like the Night Goblin netter. Like they have the baked-in -1 from like having an X number of models. I like that. But overall, it's just nothing really to write home about. I love the sculpts. Like, I didn't think that I was going to love them, but they're just creepy, weird. Like, I'm down. I'm in. I'm going to field these guys. I'm going to field large blocks of these guys with my Force Goblins, even though they don't share any of the keywords. And that was my only real big complaint about this, other than, like, the stats weren't real spectacular. They don't have the keywords. They don't match with the rest of the Force Goblin stuff, and that was disappointing. But other than that, I love them. They're probably like a meh, but I'm gonna bump it up into like, yeah, I'm totally gonna field them, just because they're Force Goblins. But I will say this: what this tells me is that Force Goblins are not dead.
Right.
Now that said, if you read the lore from the Destruction Book, they're clearly not dead. There's a plot line going on. With them that they're going to be like pouring resources. There's going to be an event thing about the realm web that they're crafting, but we're not there yet. But this was like my hard evidence down payment that more Force Goblins are coming.
Gotcha. Kenny, any thoughts on the Grot Scutlands?
I was disappointed with this the most as far as the scroll, but I love the models. Another thing I can add that's different maybe is that they strike me as very like Jim Henson-esque. I just kind of see them as Muppets, like from Labyrinth or something. Them specifically to match the sculpts.
Yeah, if they were in Labyrinth, I wouldn't be surprised.
Totally.
Yeah. They win the Labyrinth Award for most likely to be serving David Bowie. All right. Oh, the big boy. All right, the Ogroid Thaumaturge. Words are hard.
You know,
All right.
if you listen to the podcast coming out of the UK this past week or 2 weeks, like I feel like nobody could say this word, like thaumaturge. So who quoted earlier, Nick Bulliard, who asked a question earlier, like he knows from the word thaumaturgy being used around. So yeah, it's just kind of funny that like a bunch of gamers out of England like weren't familiar with this word.
I'm very familiar with the word. It from way back in like second edition D&D where I first read it. I just haven't been able to pronounce it for 27 years. So I don't see any reason to start now. That's my problem.
Those vampire players.
Yeah. All right. So what do we think of this guy? I'll start on this one. I love this dude. I love him. The model is freaking beautiful. I think this dude is a house and a half. Love everything about him. He's not incredibly like defensive, but he's enough. He's got a big pile of wounds. That's good. Got a good bravery. I love that he gets all rage-filled when he suffers more wounds and starts sucking at casting magic. I think that's unbelievably fluffy and fantastic. His attacks are real solid. I love the Great Horns attack on the 3-up, 3-up, neg-2 with 3 damage. That is sexy. I love that he can, cast a spell. I think his spell is decent. It's obviously not the Gaunt Summoner's spell, but, he's throwing some fireballs around. D6 mortal wounds ain't nothing to scoff at, and you get to set up a unit of pink horrors, or of pink, blue, or brimstone horrors. Seems good. So this dude poops out the endless tar pits. He's a tar pit maker. He's a tar pit pooper. And he self-heals. What's not to love? This dude's a total package. There you go. I have come down. Total package.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. He's just awesome. It's actually kind of fun to watch people this week post on Twitter or on the TGA, like just pictures of themselves trying to paint this model. Trying. That sounds like they're not. It's just it's been really neat to see the different, I guess the different hobby work on this guy because he's just he's total package.
Yeah, the runes being baked into his skin pose a really interesting hobby challenge. So yeah, I agree. Tom, any other thoughts? Did I miss anything, Tom, that you wanted to cover on this series?
I like him. I think that he is a fun model.
I will say I like this guy better than the Gaunt Summoner.
Really?
That's what I'll say. Yeah. Because I value his melee threat along with his spell. And the ability to, like, accidentally create units, I think is just so potent. Like, he can pop models off the table and then set up new units. And
he's only one spell per round, right?
Sure. Yeah, he's one spell. Yeah.
Yeah, but you make a pink horrors and you can go down the whole progression again, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. To me, that's just too valuable. Like, the way he works in this army seems really valuable. He's a potent threat on his own. He's a good spellcaster. He has an awesome spell that makes defensive things, and he himself's fairly hard to take out, frankly. So yeah, there you go. He gets my pick of the whole set for what I would see, what I would immediately put on the table. This guy, the Skaven. We're almost to the end. We've got one more after this guy. The Skaven Death Runner. I'll let me jump out on this one because obviously the rats are close to my heart. This model is so interesting and unique in that he's this one model that is two models, right? Because he's got his illusory twin, and you like sort of designate which one is real in different ways. Yes, you do, but in different ways. Not at the start of the game. That's my let me finish my sentence.
Nope.
The way that you designate the real one is so interesting because it's different than how we would have traditionally thought of it, right? In sort of the old world, you would have thought of like you'd say, okay, this one or this one, you write it on a piece of paper or something, right, or whatever. But this is actually happening like midstream in the game. You could just choose to attack with one, and then he becomes the real one, right? Or if one of them gets blown off the table before you get to attack or do whatever you were going to do, 50-50 shot, the real one died, and the other one that remains is the real one, right, or whatever. I like his little mark target where he gets to pick a hero and sort of, re-roll his hit rolls. It's not that big a deal, but it's very fluffy. And I love the utility that that having this double hero for one scroll that can sort of go out, claim objectives or whatever if that's possible. Just for scenario play, this dude brings incredible utility, I think.
Yep.
I love in the background too. If anybody has Storm of Magic, which maybe you didn't play it a lot in your area or at all, but there's really cool art in that book, and it's the same what they have at the background with these guys, like the purple and pink, the terrain, the fulcrums with like the purple and pink light shined on them.
I did not know that. That's cool. I like that. And Kenny, any additional thoughts on the Death Runner? You got any?
You hit it all. They're so much fun.
And again, super great model. I would love to see more Skaven that look like this. He looks kind of like muscular and big. He's clearly scary. And you know my favorite thing about him? The super long tail. I love that tail.
Yeah. I think if this is in any way preview of even a small faction of Skaven, I'll be happy.
Agreed. Absolutely true. And again, pretty potent threat, pretty fast on his feet at 7 inches. I like a 7-inch foot troop. That's pretty fast. And yeah, he's decent attacks. I like him. Oh, sorry, that's way too small to see, and that is all fuzzy. All right, we're skipping the Mistweaver and the Shard. The ones that are I didn't know the pictures are that small. I'm sorry.
The elves.
The elves. They'll remain.
I will say this.
Go ahead.
I have been critical of the elves, but I want to acknowledge that I'm coming around on the Mistweaver, having seen the sculpt firsthand. And I'll attribute Ben. Ben was on the show last week, and he had pointed out that it has a lot of the iconography of the High Elves. And so the more and more, like I got that model in my hand at my local shop and was kind of looking around, and I'm coming around to like that model more.
Yeah, and I don't hate the face mask thing. Like I said, if there was a whole unit or if it was the aesthetic for the whole army, I might have a problem. But as one hero, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's just I like unique looks.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to see the. I've seen this model, but I want to see that aesthetic in its own faction.
Yeah, it's funny. People complain like, "Oh, the Stormcast heroes look too much like the other guys." So you make a guy that looks a lot different, and people are like, "It looks too different." Like, you can't win.
We're never happy.
It looks the wrong way different. All right, so I apologize to everybody. We're gonna have to skip those dudes. I don't know why my pictures are all tiny. I'm sorry. I'm sure everybody will get a chance to look at those again. I'll put a link down to where to where all these scrolls are, so you can go and peruse them at your own leisure, and maybe you can get a bigger version. The Zangors. I saved this for last because it's the thing I'm most excited about. So I'm gonna go last. So Kenny, kick us off. What do you think about the Zangors? You happy to see their return?
Yes, I am. I loved it. I love the look. And I am certain that these will be available in box sets to buy units of these. Yeah. Sooner than later.
Yeah, agreed. These are the guys coming in a box, for sure.
Yeah, well, you can talk about it, but yeah, they're total thumbs up.
Oh, no, by all means, dive in, man. What caught your attention? What'd you love? What didn't you love?
Especially the sculpts, I guess. They're just so new and different. It's taken so long. Like, it's great to see them again. I don't really see them being like too crazy as a model too effective. I think they're a nice looking unit, and you can have multiples of those around with like the horse popping up here and there. Can you put the scroll back up for a second?
Yep, there you go. It should come back. I don't know why your screen is still switching.
That's all right.
To the viewer, but that's okay.
Yeah, the Arcanite shield. Yeah, they have that too. So, and we already went over that.
Yep. I like the shield. I like their anarchy and mayhem that they've still got that. I love their weapon choices. I love that I can give them all big, great axes or whatever, and they can have a rend. I'm happy that as Beastmen, I've got a 2-wound infantry now. Yeah, they're still not incredibly tough, but I don't want huge armor values in my Beastmen. That's fine. I like everything about these guys, really do. Tommy, what's your summation thoughts on the Zangors?
I like that Tzeentch has a non-Chaos Warrior foot soldier. Like an actual melee. Like, that was something that Tzeentch was always missing, was something that would get into the stuff. And this feels like that'll fill that gap, even though they're pretty terrible. They're at least... they're not Chaos Warriors. When I say that, I'm comparing them to something like Chaos Warriors. but they're also not like goblins. Like they have at least some meat on the bones.
Absolutely.
So I would not feel bad about fielding a block of these guys. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and I love that they're both Gore and Arkanites because I'm happy to see so many things filling out that Arkanite faction. I think that's pretty cool. I think it was a very small little contained faction when it got printed in the Chaos book, and I love seeing those little factions, those factions get filled out. I hope for a lot more of that. I'm not sure we're going to see it super often, but I hope we get a lot more of it. All right. So there we go. That brings us to the end of the scrolls. As always, what we want to know is, did we miss anything? Is there something you saw that that we missed that you think was totally awesome? Put it down in the comments. What model are you most excited for? What do you think you're going to use in your games? All that stuff. Some quick notes on the Q&A. Tom, Skeleton Flowers behind your Nurgle scheme. Especially loves the scorpion green, so another thumbs up for that. And Mickey says that the acolytes seem like Tzeentch Marauders, and they, sort of, and that makes sense. Fluff-wise it works even if it's not competitive. I agree. They do sort of fill that same role, especially with their little magical bolts. Their magic casting reminds me of like the skeletons from Diablo 2, where it's not really magic, right? It's just like throwing little bolts.
Yeah.
And then Shaven Skaven said, have you guys considered running a panel at Gen Con PMP after party? No, I didn't register anything this year for any panels to sign up for like to do any panels. We may do it next year depending on what happens. But you have to put you have to file events quite a distance in advance. But
we will make something public. Like we will make an event known.
Yes. That being said, I'll be at Gen Con this year. I don't think Tom will be there this year. But it should be an awesome time.
Shut your mouth. I'll probably be there.
Oh, well, good. I didn't know if you were going to be there or not. So hopefully you'll see us both. And if I'm walking along the halls and you see me, of course, feel free to stop me and say hi. All right. So, Kenny, final thoughts. Are you excited for the Silver Tower release?
Absolutely. I'm very excited, and I think having the stores have demo copies, it was a brilliant move because there's just the madness, the excitement that's happened, from a marketing standpoint. It's just wonderful. It's been infectious too, and I love that. I like this whole idea that them continuing like they've been doing in 40K recently, where you get a scroll or you get models for a game, and then here's scrolls to use them in your larger war game.
Yep, exactly.
That's something I want to see more of, and I have no problems with this, and my favorite model I think out of all of them now is of the favorite familiars, I like the fish walking upside down.
Oh God, the fish!
Little fishy guy.
Love the upside down fish. That and the little mini Lord of Change I think are both excellent.
Oh yeah, and the little mini Queek or whatever his name was, Lord Change for me is he's close to my heart.
Yeah, my game store is actually staying open until after midnight just so they can sell them right away. That night they're doing an after midnight little event so people can come pick up their copies. So I am definitely doing that. I'll be beginning painting that, cutting it and putting it together at 12:30 a.m. So there you go.
You're gonna get it painted up so we can play at Gen Con, right?
That wouldn't be hard having it that done by then, sure. I thought you were gonna say that weekend. That might be pushing it. All right. So for everybody else. Kenny, thank you again for coming on. Really appreciate it. I know it's very late where you are. It has now gone full, as dark as it's going to get in the Great White North out there.
Yeah, it's dark now.
There you go. True dark.
It's been a lot of fun.
You are welcome back anytime, sir. It was a real pleasure. As always, like I said, check out Kenny on Combat Phase. I'll link his podcast down there along with a bunch of other links. Check them all out. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, don't forget, post your thoughts on all of the Silver Tower down below. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.